Diarrha,
Hi.
welcome to It Takes a Village.
It does take a village.
It does take a village.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
We have been talking about this since, I think, season 2. I saw you and I was like, well, wait, I DM'd you actually about it. I was like, I want to have you on this show.
I know.
Before I even put out season 2.
Yes.
And now I'm working on season 3, so thank you.
That's so insane.
It's
and
so
congratulations.
insane. Thank you.
It's so hard. Consistency, content, pouring yourself out there.
I know.
It's a lot.
I know.
I see you, girl.
Do you remember? Thank you. I see you too. Okay. So do you remember how we met?
Okay, I feel like we met when I was working at Tem 2.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, exactly.
I have good memory.
You have a really good memory.
I really do, because it's like, I feel like I've been in the industry for so long in so many different hats. Like, Tem 2, I was like so heavy in pro makeup artistry. And I think at the time, there were not that many people that did what you did and understood, like, you were the first, I think, one of the first to talk about like olive skin tones, undertones in a very particular way, like how to actually camouflage, like, you know, any discoloration.
Yeah.
So I remember when you came to Tem 2, I'm like, we need to be working with her. So yeah, I remember.
Yeah. That's so cool. And okay, so do you remember also Nikki Posley did your makeup?
Yes.
Okay, so Nikki is like, for everybody listening, Nikki is like an incredible airbrush artist. I was like, you need to just do airbrush online. Like, don't even do anything else. Just do airbrush, and like people will literally, it's incredible.
It's
the
so incredible.
Work,
the eye work,
the skin work,
the brows.
I'm
Nikki, we see you. Flowers all the time.
I know.
With that classic, you know, silver ring.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I know. That's literally like, you know, he means
Nikki.
business. He's
the
like,
ring is on.
The ring is on.
And he's fainting. I love it. Yes.
And I remember he did like this really beautiful, it was like orange blush. Yes. And it was the first time I had really seen someone go in on orange blush on deep skin like that. And I was like, ooh.
He did it.
This is so pretty.
Was it for the makeup show?
It was for, I believe,
or just a class.
I think he was creating. I think he might have also done something with you with a class. But he was creating content, and he asked me to come over and assist.
Yes. Wow.
Do you remember
bringing
this?
Me back.
I know.
Like Flatiron, 17th Street. I remember so. Like, Tem 2 had this beautiful studio, and all these amazing people would walk through, like Nikki.
Yeah.
And then either do models or do looks or had makeup artists come through that space.
Yeah.
And I remember he kept saying, like, yes, you can. I'm like, oh, I can't do red blush. I'm scared. He's like, oh, no, honey. Let me teach you how to do red blush. And yes, he had that corally. And like he taught me like the importance of having a blue base, making sure like, you know, the vibrancy and then the different shades of caramel on our skin tones and just melting it and layering. And I remember I could see your face intently like watching and studying him.
Gosh.
Such a student.
No, literally. I mean, you are too. I think that's why you see it is because like even when you got into creating and formulating, the way that you would talk about it online, nobody was really doing that.
I think even still, I think some people still, like they don't understand why, and I get it because it's a steep learning curve. Like I geek out about music, about makeup, and
I love music too.
Color, exactly, and color theory, and like the why.
Yeah,
because I think for a very long time I'm just like, but why? Like, why does it have to be ashy?
Right.
Why?
What is that
Why
about?
does it have to be ashy? And like, what's happening to make this ashy? And I think no one could understand or explain it.
Yeah.
So I think as a consumer, I was always interested. But then in working again in pro makeup artistry, I'm like, oh my God, these people are like chemists to me. I'm like fangirling. I'm like, Nikki, yeah.
I know, literally.
Or eye mats, walking the floor and just seeing like Pat McGrath walking around with the black tote bag. I'm like, what in the utopia is going on?
Yeah.
So I just love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do love it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nikki.
Shout out to Nikki Posley.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Nikki
you.
Posley. We love you. Okay, let's talk about Harlem.
Okay.
Your origin is Harlem. Were you born in Senegal or were you born
I was
in
born
the States?
Right in Harlem.
You were born in Harlem?
Born and raised in Harlem. I honestly did not leave Harlem until college.
Oh, wow.
I went to school there, middle school, elementary school, high school.
Yeah.
I went to high school on 114th. Wow. I went to middle school on 120th. I went to elementary school on 119th. I was like in it.
You're a Harlem girl for real.
I'm a Harlem girl through and through. 8th Avenue, Lenox.
Oh my gosh, Harlem, New York.
Harlem, New York. But you know, if you know Harlem, there's like a little Senegal.
There is a little Senegal on 116th.
On 116th.
Did it used to be bigger than just 116th?
No.
Okay, it's always been that
116th. It's been maybe 7th and 8th. Yep. But I think when I was growing up, it was probably Lenox to 7th.
Yes,
food, all right?
the food.
And now it's like 2 blocks and maybe even a little bit more now, 120th and like an 8th Avenue now. You have Les Ambassades, and then it kind of carries through a little bit. But yeah, I grew up in Harlem, but in Petit Senegal.
I love that. Yes. Okay, I have to talk to you about Senegal for a second. We're going to come back to Harlem, but I've been to Senegal.
When did you go to Senegal?
No, I knew you were going to like freak out. I've been to Senegal. I went to Dakar.
When?
Okay, it was in 2022.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so one of my best friends is from Mali. Mm-hmm. So she got married in Mali.
Okay.
And my cousin and I were like, no, we have to do something. We have to meet in Africa. We're already on the continent. And she was like, let's go to Senegal. I have a friend, Jakaya, who lives in Senegal.
Yes.
You know Jakaya?
Yes. I just saw her this weekend.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so my friend Jakaya lives in Senegal. She was traveling the world.
Yes.
And she was doing her thing. And then she met a man in Senegal.
Sounds about right.
Right? And
Same.
The most beautiful men in the world.
Yes.
P.S.
Tall, beautiful men. Yes.
No, literally. Like,
I'm married, but I'm just saying.
I'm like, okay, so all y'all have abs?
Yeah.
All y'all are working on the beach?
Built, honey.
Like this?
Yes, like for fun.
Just for fun.
Just walking backwards on the beach, scoot. I'm like, yep.
No, literally. I was like, I know I'm Habesha and I'm supposed to be like, oh, Ethiopian and Eritrean men, but Senegalese men are beautiful.
Just saying.
Underrated. No, Dakar is amazing.
Yeah. I'm so happy you went. No, it's so hard to explain the ambiance there. It can get hectic. But it's very slow as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes to a fault. I'm like, come on, we got to get serious, people. My people.
People like to go out late.
They like to go out late. They leave the house at like 2 a.m. I'm like, hello, I'm tired.
Right.
But it's like a sense of like sharing, and teranga is what we call it. It's like whatever. Like you'll never feel homeless in Senegal. Like if you go there and you can't find your way, someone will come and adopt you, and like that becomes your mom, and you're having rice there every other day. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Wait, you say Nangadef?
Nangadef? Magnifique? Bayang Chijam?
Oh my gosh, listen, let me tell you, I cannot wait to go back.
So I can't wait. Oh, we got to do this. Okay.
We got to do it.
Noted.
So wait, do you speak fluent Wolof?
Yeah, my husband doesn't even speak English.
Whoa. No, you're like fluent.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you all meet?
Oh my God. So in Harlem.
Wait, okay.
I was so mad.
On 116th.
On 125th.
Okay.
No, my best friend, it was so funny. I was like going through like a breakup / break on dating, because the New York City dating, it's a whole different podcast. But
yes.
I just gave myself a hard pause. I'm like, you know what? He will come. Let me just focus on me. Trying to gain my footing between like not really fitting in my job at the time and like, trying to find myself. And it's so interesting. Like life, like I think God is the most creative storyteller, because it's really when you put the pencil down that everything just floods you and you got to stay ready.
Okay, wait, pause. Because everybody says that. What does that mean, put the pencil down? Because I think people think they're putting the pencil down and they're not putting the pencil down.
They're not putting the pencil down?
You know what I mean? Okay.
Putting the pencil down actively means like it's above me.
Okay.
And that means like for me, it was alignment. I was praying more often. I was I think sometimes we look at the wrong door so intently, waiting for it to open, and there's like 17 doors behind you that are wide open, like, hello, just turn around and you'll be able to see. But I think we live in such a noisy society between like everything, especially social media, or this idea of like, not a list per se, but you just kind of think your life is supposed to go this way. Yeah. And if I work really hard, I'm going to get this. And sometimes you're not supposed to get that for a reason. It's a blessing. So I think put the pencils down for me meant like I wasn't like actively trying to find a date or I'd put all the little dating apps away. I did it all. Muslim Connect. Girl, I was on everything. Asking like, okay, for a friend. Do you know a friend? Yeah. I'm ready. Uh-huh. And then I just stopped and I just started to journal and like listen to myself. I'm like, what do I actually want? Like if I were to create this ideal person, like I started writing it down. If there were no rules, what would this look like? And then I started to get a little bit more clarity. And then just suspending, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, but like, I think at one point in my career, my job was really closely identified to my worth is the wrong word, but I just like had to excel and be great at this job, right? Yeah. And then when I wasn't that, I was like, well, who am I? Am I a failure now? Yeah. Like, what does that mean? Yeah. So when I kind of detached myself from my work performance and who I was and my value, I think I also realized that, you know, I'll give you a classic example, right? I think when I was working at this place, I kept raising my hand, like, you know what, I really enjoy watching you guys publicly speak and like be able to be so articulate in these presentations. Like, I want to do that too. Like, and they were like, you're not ready for that. You need to go to speech, training and That's media wild. Training and all this stuff. And I literally ingested that. I'm like, oh, okay, I am not good at this. I need to go to this, and that to have that verification. And then I'll be able to present in front of a boardroom. Mm-hmm. And then I think for a very long time at my next job, I was so insecure to do a presentation. Like I was like stumbling over just like talking in public. It went with you. Like, it went with me, and I just internalized it. I'm like, wait. And I think I did one thing where I kind of forgot. I was just in my element, and I was just talking. I think I was doing a live. Yeah. And I was just talking, and someone was like, whoa, you're really good at this. I'm like, good at what? No, you are, like, though. Good at talking. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I didn't do the certifications. Da, 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 da. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's not true. Yeah. It's totally not true. I just I just stopped. I'm like, wait a minute. That's your projection on me. Mm-hmm. You're telling me that I don't know how to talk and I don't know how to sound eloquent or all these things that you put on me, and then I internalized it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's like, again, the job and the role is one thing, but that's not who you are, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's just an example of things that I had to kind of put down and really think about and like, yeah, and just be you. Just be you. Like let go of like the outcomes. Yeah, okay. Or the fear, or also learning how to walk with fear. Yeah, versus against it. Yeah, that's so good. Okay, let's talk about your mom's hair braiding salon. Yes. And I know you've talked about this a lot. Okay, I'm trying to see the correlation. Ami Colé, is that her actual name or is it Aminata? Oh, great question. So Aminata is her name. Okay. Aminata. Okay. How do you say it? Aminata. Mm-hmm. Okay. Aminata. Okay. That's her name, but it's like let's see, like, I'm trying to find a correlation, but basically, Ami Colé is a nickname for Aminata. Okay. So it's usually like Catherine and Katie. Oh, I see. Something like that. Yeah, I'm trying to get like another correlation that would come to my mind, but it's basically like a shortcut. So my dad always called her like Colé, Ami Colé, like all the people that know my mom call her. Is it like sweetheart? Like is it like more like endearing? I don't know. I think it's just a nickname. It's just like Ami Colé. I don't know where that came from actually, but yeah, it's the nickname that I heard my mom. I didn't know her name was Aminata until like I would hear her saying like, "Oh, Aminata African hair braiding." I'm like, "Who's Aminata?" Yeah, like me. I'm like, "Oh, okay." But Ami Colé is what my dad. I just know her for that. Yeah. So yeah, I named it after her. I don't know when that came, like for me to name it after my mom. It just felt so instinctual to me. I love that. I don't remember a date where I was like, oh, after my mother. It just came to me. I'm like, duh, I'm gonna have to name it after her. Wait, how did she feel when you told her that? You were not impressed. Really? She was just like, okay, girl, like, it's fine. My mom is very hard to impress. And I think that I'm kind of blessed it's that way because she's so hard on me. Yeah. Because she's hard on herself and she just expects the world. And I understand because she has sacrificed so much. Probably to like a detriment, but she's just like, girl, you don't got no benefits. Okay, girl. Like, must you? Like, do you like? She's like, you know what she said? She's like, do you not see how hard my life is being an entrepreneur? Like, why would you do this to yourself? Why would you not just go get a good job? Like, why can't you be normal? Yeah. I was like, well, you guys showed me like what is possible, and I'm having a hard time, like just. The assembly line of work and to be like, this is my job was so difficult. Yeah. Like I was like nosy with Nikki, like, Nikki, what you doing over there? Like, oh, how'd you make that? Oh, you mix this and that? Okay, cool. Then I'm going to go to the marketing and tell them da-da-da. And then I'm going to put him on the social media channel. Like I just never operate it that way. Yeah. How did you become a makeup girl instead of a hair girl? I don't know how to do hair. Interesting. Girl, you don't want to see the braids under this. I am ashamed for my mother. And
You're like, I can do something that will work, but I'm not wearing it out.
I'm not a hair girl. I know the hair products that I need to use for my hair because I've learned my hair language.
Right.
But to do like braid, I've been in the salon my entire life, and I think my mom also never had patience with me. She's like, "Girl, go sit down.
Yeah.
Get out of my face."
That's how my mom was with cooking. She was like,
"She's the same way.
Can you please
get
move?
out the kitchen?
Like, get out of the kitchen.
Move.
Like, I'm gonna do stuff.
I don't have time.
And you're in the way.
It's so unfortunate because I wish now that I have a daughter, I'm like,
supposed to learn.
Who's gonna do her hair?
Right.
Okay, so how did I become a makeup girl? Actually, was a skincare girl first.
Okay. And because your skin is incredible. I think actually when I first met you.
You said that, remember that?
I did say that, didn't I? I was like, oh my gosh. Because your skin is so beautifully even.
I love
and the texture
skincare.
Is like.
I know, and some people say jeans, but honestly, like yes.
You're like, but also effort.
But a lot of effort. Like, my girls will tell you, like, I was a college girl. I don't care. At 6 a.m. we got in. I'm in the bathroom doing a little 3-step.
Yeah?
I'm that girl. And yes, like I got cousins. We got the same jeans. I'm like, there's a little difference. No shade at all.
I love y'all, but
I take care of my skin. But no, you know what it is? And I fell in love with skincare first because I just kept looking ashy with the makeup. Every time I played with my mom, Guerlain, and her little
like,
swirl. My mom was a Macy's girl.
Okay.
Fashion Fair girl down.
Okay.
MAC later on.
Yes.
And and she's way lighter than I am. So
what does she wear? Like, does she wear like just foundation or does she do?
My mom has had eras. So she's had her blue eyeshadow era.
Okay.
She had her red lipstick era.
Got you.
She had the black pencil eyebrow era.
Okay.
Foundation only when she had to go out, but her pictures are wild. It's like looking back at them. Like, I feel like every time I launch a product, I go back to see what my mom got wrong in the 80s and like, Mom, this is how you do it. So like her foundation stick, she had the compact with the powder, with the little spongy, the little beige sponge.
Yep.
And I think I always used to play with it, but I never felt beautiful because I look crazy. And then I'm
wearing her color.
Wearing her color down, honey. And then whenever my dad would go buy, because my dad's so sweet, he would always go and buy her stuff from the Macy's counter. And they would be like, "Oh, sweetie, we don't have anything for you now." So I'm like, ah. So they'll like throw me a little girl in, like a Shalimar, like sample. And then I don't even know that Shalimar. I think, it was like old school perfume. And then
I remember that.
I realized that I never had that issue with skincare. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. I can use this like without looking crazy or feeling crazy and see results and feel even more confident in my skin. I had a very uneven skin tone growing up. Hyperpigmentation, yes.
I would have never thought that.
Oh, baby. I had the raccoon eyes and all. I had the eczema around the lips, the ashiness, because I wasn't taking, my skin needed the hydration. My mom was like, whatever. They'll shade on that.
Yeah.
Really dry lips and just like, I just wanted to like, satiate that.
Yeah.
And I think I honestly didn't know. My dad did use Proactive, which is so funny thinking back. I'm like, okay, Dad.
Yeah.
And so I saw him through his acne.
For an African man.
An African man.
Absolutely.
He had the 3 steps. Okay. And he swore by it.
Did he have acne?
He did have acne.
Okay.
Very, very oily skin combination, which I got from him. I didn't have acne per se, but combination skin.
Yeah.
And I just watched his journey and how much it changed his skin and his confidence. I'm like, okay, Dad. But he was at the Macy's counter, would drag me with him. And it's so funny. My dad is so like, it's interesting. Like just, thinking back on it, I'm like, wow, that's a very progressive, like.
They had a Macy's counter? I forgot about that. Proactive was at
my
Macy's?
Dad worked on 34th Street.
Okay.
So whatever he needed, honey, it was Macy's. Whether it was a coffee machine, a new duvet, or makeup for mommy, he would drag me along and it would be in Macy's and Gap. That was like our thing. So anyway, I'm getting distracted now, but I think I loved skincare. And then when I went to college, I think it really solidified it. That's when I got into Clinique, the 1 to 3 step.
Oh, that was everything.
The toner, the dramatically different lotion.
No.
And everything. I didn't know nothing about SPF.
It was like 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. And I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
And then I saw like the difference. And then I started getting into Mary Kay. I don't know who put me onto Mary Kay.
Okay.
But this one foundation changed my life.
Okay, why?
I put it on. I'm like, oh.
This is what it's supposed to look like?
Wow.
Do they have the right colors?
Yes.
Interesting.
Mary, it was a little red.
Okay.
But just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did enough for me to be like, oh, wow, this is game changing. Like, like I feel different. I feel, put together. And it just felt good. It's like wearing the perfect finding the perfect shoe. I'm like, oh my God, all these. So there is makeup for me? I just thought there was no makeup for me.
So it was like, oh, possibility.
I think I maybe the other option was MAC at the time, but even then it was a little more gray on me. I think I tried in college, not because, I think high school, for my senior pictures, and I still have them. I look very gray. So I think I started off with skincare, and then I segued into makeup, but I never was like the full-on beat girl because I can't.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
I'm a great student and I love consuming it, but I never can get it right. So that way I think I always look for that kind of toggle between skincare and makeup to make it just easy enough to look like myself, but just a little bit more elevated and better.
Okay. So it was like, okay, this is what I know I could do, so let me just do that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you want a full beat?
Oh, yes. I'm still trying to get that London
beat. That's what I want. Yeah.
The one that you do?
Yeah.
Girl, teach me the ways. And you know what it is? I'm so scared of having so much product on.
Yeah.
And you need more product.
Yeah, you do.
I'm so like, one pump.
Yeah, but when you do the right colors, you can make a lot of product look like a little bit of product.
A little bit of product.
That's the key.
Baby, but let me tell you something. You guys are so talented because it's the blend.
Thank you.
And it's the blend and it's the layering and it's to also understand, like literally I think it's chemical because you need to understand the bases.
Yes.
A water base versus oil, how to mix them, how they match, which type of powder before it cakes and crease.
Yeah.
Like I'm stuck.
Yeah.
By the time it's time to beat, girl, I'm stuck.
Yeah, well, let's talk about chemistry though, because you like you've created a really cool, like that skin tint that you created. There's nothing like it.
Thank you.
And also, we didn't have that for Black girls before you made it.
We did not. We had
crazy.
BB cream. I know. We had Iman.
Yeah. Okay.
We had the Iman BB cream.
I love
Iman.
I love the Iman line. I am like honestly in tears that doesn't exist anymore.
Earth 5, honey.
What? And olive tones were just, you don't understand how many people I put on the red carpet in Iman's foundation.
I remember you talking about it too.
So many.
I was using that religiously and then I just kept growing more and more frustrated because I would go to every Dwayne Reed, dusting off every Earth 5, going on the back of the shelf, trying to buy this thing. By the time I got it, it was like old, but I'm like, no, I must. Girl, I was on eBay. I was like, what is going on? Why can't we find one? And then I also love the Kojin dough.
Yeah.
I love that formula,
That's
the balmy, kind of bouncy. I love that. But again, like, I just love Korean glass skin as well.
Yeah.
We just never had permission to play there.
No, we didn't.
So I think that was one of the first things. And again, I did some like consumer research too. I like surveyed so many people. I might have even surveyed you.
You did. You definitely did. And I was like
can you
very
take my
happy.
Survey?
Yeah, you were like, what colors do you wear in this specific thing? So how did you come up
on?
with the, listen, I was like, whatever you're doing, do it. Like, however I can help, I'm helping.
Yes.
How did you come up with the survey? Like, what questions you were going to put in it?
Oh, great question. Selfish. I was just like, what do you want? What do you want me to create? Am I right in thinking that we want no makeup, or is it just me?
Okay.
So a lot of it was the questions that I had on there is number one, like, again, like I don't have infinite resources. I had finite resources. So like if I were to create shades, where do I start?
Yeah.
And then what do you already have in your makeup bag? What don't you like about it? Like a lot of things popped up, using Bobbi Brown, but sometimes I mix with NARS and Fenty right now, but I like this and that. I like this about it and I like this about it. So I needed some type of guardrails on like what to start with.
Yeah.
And then I think that just naturally being such a curious person, I'm like, okay, what foundation are you using? What shade? Why do you like it? Are you oily? Are you dry? Do you know what like undertones are? What is your undertone? A lot of like, uncertainty about that. Does clean beauty matter to you?
Yeah.
So I was just trying to understand my footing because I didn't have any other resource. So I'm like, well, free is just a question in the survey.
Absolutely.
Please.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Where did you find these people? Besides, obviously you know me and you worked in beauty for a while.
I think it's just that. Over a year, you'd be surprised. I'm like, hey, like, remember
and
me?
People were like, cool.
People were like, cool, I'm going to answer. And we want this for real. So, like, if it's anyone to create it, I trust you enough to create it compared to what's out there. So, like, it can't hurt. And then in terms of being resourceful, like, whenever I had, like, either I would go to an event or I would speak on a panel and they, if there was no, like, comp, I'd be like, hey, you don't have to pay me, but can I just, like, email the people that are coming? and ask them for, 10 minutes of their time. I'm like, sure. So they'll have them opt in, like, hey, by the way, if you opt in here, can Ami Colé reach out to you?
I love that.
And then I would create this like makeshift.
If you, then
I had like a makeshift website. And then just put people's emails in there, and I just kept emailing people and DMing them.
Yeah.
And then I had a form, and then I had my sister, who was just like an angel of mine.
I think I remember you guys having like a video with you both on the floor with like swatches.
Swatches and everything.
Oh my God, I love that.
She is like a data geek.
Is she?
Like down, like MIT student, like Fulbright, just super smart and like, all the things. Yeah. So she actually did like heat mapping for me. So she took all of the data and put it into like an Excel and then created this graph and like NW47, NW45 Mac, NARS Macau. And everything.
NARS Macau's incredible.
Everything popped up for me. So I'm like, oh, my girl's right here. And it makes perfect sense because our top sellers right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Deep 2 in the skin tint.
Yes.
And then medium 2, of course, with Sephora being, a little bit lighter on the spectrum, which is an interesting thing too.
That is very interesting.
It's data. It's my curiosity. It's the questions that I ask my girlfriends all the time, or questions that they ask me, that I kind of needed some type of grounding to make sure I was just making something that I knew people were going to buy. Like the odds were just so stacked against me. I'm this random girl from Harlem. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, if you're in the industry, you may have like crossed paths with me, but like, why else would you know me or like trust me to make this product? So it had to come from my community.
Okay, what about thickness of the product? And how many people would you say that you like? Okay, first, how many people would you say that you actually surveyed before you made the first product?
400.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but it was over a year.
Okay, that's good.
So it was manageable, digestible, and I just kept getting more and more fascinated. I'm like, why isn't no one creating this? Like,
you're like,
if all these girls are here telling me this, like, what's up with y'all? Am I like off? I kept having this doubt that I'm like, there's a reason why this doesn't exist. There's a reason why Iman didn't work out. Like,
right?
Yeah, there's no way that the answer is this apparent. There's no way.
Okay, so consistency. Mm-hmm. Because the consistency is very interesting. The color range, I think, was really revolutionary at the time, especially with that consistency. But how did you figure out that you wanted to go there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I knew also that education and kind of trust was a big issue.
Okay.
I also knew that I was going to sell this online.
Okay.
I didn't have any distribution just yet. So I understood that I had to create a balmy texture that had just enough coverage, but also a sheer break so that way it can stretch as much as it could. Okay. I was starting off with 6 shades compared to like 15 or even 12. Skin tint again. So it's like, again, very forgiving. But I knew in order to get her to try, that one shade would have to flex up and down. So technically you could have 3 people fit within that range.
Oh, nice.
So I had to think about that. I had to think about, again, online and that kind of like either sheer joy or sheer disappointment getting it, and it just doesn't match you because I've been there before. Mm-hmm. So I had to make it neutral enough where it's not flashing too much on the skin to be able to kind of warm up really beautifully, at least set a base for the skin. Okay. We also made it water-based, not oil-based. Okay. So that way it was not going to like clog your skin or get too shiny. I worked at the brand where it was like all about the glow and sometimes it glowed too much.
Yeah, especially on black skin. We naturally reflect light. Exactly. So we don't need that
too
much glow.
Exactly.
We really don't.
And I know we love the internet, but like that first glow looks beautiful, but like I create makeup for real life.
Hello.
Like I'm outside, I'm running, and I'm a New York girl. I'm always outside, and Senegal too. Like, I'm beating the elements outside. How can I live with this? So I was creating the formula as well to not be too oily on the skin. And then we created like other like Face Plus, like the powder to be able to cut the shine a little bit. But at the end of the day, it still celebrates texture and skin. So you'll still see the freckles, but it wasn't sheer. It's not made for like perfect skin. It's really just setting the tone for you to be able to walk out the door.
So would you say sheer buildable to medium?
Buildable medium, I would
light medium.
Light medium.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, same. All right, that's what I think too.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very good. And you launched that with the lip oil.
The lip oil, which is so surprising to me.
So
like good. I knew. Thank you. I knew.
I'm wearing it right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the lip oil. Yeah, that's definitely our number 1 SKU.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's like a low barrier to entry as well. Yeah. I think that, lip is having a moment
Black
as
girls
well.
love a lip color too.
And
I mean, a lip oil, a lip something,
gloss,
like a lip gloss.
something to pop out.
That's
something
true.
to pop out,
We
honey.
do. We do.
And you know what though? I did know that because there was like and again, I'm very geeky when it comes to data, and I think that's why I learned that at L'Oreal.
Okay.
I think I did take that on from L'Oreal, sometimes to my detriment. I'm like, what are your data points to assume this? But there was a study, actually, Nielsen, and it mentioned that Black women over-index in lip gloss consumption. I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
It's like Black women over-index.
That's what we have in our bag.
And you know what's so funny? It's like we over-index in lip gloss consumption and soap.
And soap?
Soap and laundry detergent.
No, because we were very clean.
We're so clean. I'm like, does that make sense? I'm like, of course we are like.
We're very clean and moisturized.
We are clean and moisturized. So it's so funny. At the time, you know, there wasn't a lot of, and probably still isn't, a lot of research on like consumer demand. Where are we shopping?
Yeah.
Etc. So there was just so much homework in the industry in itself. Like, I think a lot has changed since, you know, Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd, and people are like, wait a minute. We don't even know how this community works.
Yeah.
Like, they just give us a beauty supply store. They just give us the bare minimum. But the nuance is like, where are we shopping for foundation versus this? And you're not buying your bar of soap the same way that you're looking for your next like lip gloss or lip oil. Yeah. So I think, anyway, that's, you know, going off on a tangent, but just getting a little bit of insight, I took it and ran with it. So I'm like, I want to start with this kind of sheer buildable kind of skin flex moment. Yeah. I want to give a pop and lip gloss moment for us to think about like the internet, because we're starting on .com. And then this beautiful balmy that still, you know, it still needs a little bit more like marketing love, but the highlighter balm, because I'm obsessed with the gleam and the glisten of the skin. Yep. So that is something that I kind of launched as well, that you kind of tap onto. It's called Light Catching Highlighter. Super sheer, very little minimal mica, but it's kind of like giving that gleam in real life as well, because I just wanted to I was thinking about that girl that's a little bit like stumbling from brunch, just catching that light, like feeling herself. Yeah. I wanted to catch that like joyous moment, like, oh, look at the sunlight, you know, that golden hour. Yeah. And just giving the right glaze and skin, just making her feel beautiful, like as is. Or just like when you're in Senegal on the beach and you kind of just like, you know, had a great day and you're just like feeling yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect. You nailed it. I think that the line is just so beautiful and very easy and very wearable. Okay, I want to go back to L'Oreal and also working at Glossier. Mm-hmm. So how long were you at L'Oreal for?
I was at L'Oreal a little bit over 2 years at L'Oreal Paris.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Did you, that was after Tem 2?
That was right after Tem 2. I was recruited there from Tem 2.
Okay. Can we talk about working in corporate for a second? Mm-hmm. Because I think, like, what did you learn from those two companies? And there's so many conversations that you have already online about your experience there, but what did you learn from those two companies that you were like, I'm absolutely not doing that at Colé?
Oh, so the two companies as in Tem 2 or L'Oreal and Glossier?
You can add in Tem 2 if you feel like it's relevant to it.
It is relevant because I think Tem 2, if you know, you know.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to good product. And I think they stand the test of time. And I also think that they're way before their time. Like
1,000%.
Revolutionizing like airbrush makeup is like, whoa. And it's way more, it's underrated. I think that, God knows, maybe 10 years from now, they'll just pop off out of nowhere, like some TikTok viral something. But anyway, that taught me a lot about, they were mom and pop. Mm-hmm. So it was a wife and a husband and their brother-in-law, like ebbing and flowing, like every day figuring it out.
And you were in there with them.
I was in there working directly with them.
How many people were at the company when you were there?
When I was there, maximum 15. Between LA and New York.
I did not know it was that small.
It was tiny. Like everyone that you saw in the back was the company. And then there was people in the warehouse making the product.
Okay, I did not know they were that small.
Tiny. So Michael was just such a visionary. And I think he was one of the first people that were like, you know, that good crazy?
Yep.
That was like, what if we airbrush medicine? What are you talking about? Okay. I'm like, carry me through. Talk me through this. And then like,
creative genius.
Samantha, creative genius ahead of his time in materializing it. You don't get to see that often. Like, you know, my parents were just making what they could with what they had. And like he had a place. They had a place and they were selling and we were going into Sephora and QVC. And I'm talking to her, going over her pitch and how to sell on QVC. Like I was just so into everything. How
did you know about QVC?
No, so Samantha was entering QVC.
So you were teaching her, or you were just with her?
We were going over her pitch for QVC.
Okay,
like,
but how did you know what her pitch was supposed to look like to go to QVC?
I
or
don't
you just
know.
making it up?
Stop.
Stop.
I'm like, that's it. Tell them about this. And she's like, okay. I'm like, why is she listening to me?
Yeah. And she was like, you have a very, I was telling you this before we even walked in, but your voice is very confident.
Oh, thank you.
And clear. And so that's probably
it's
why
discernment.
Yeah. But I think that's also,
mm-hmm.
that's how you can, I feel like, lead people. Because everybody's looking for direction. So
Isn't
I think
crazy?
it doesn't matter if like, oh, okay, you own this company. Yeah, but if somebody's clear in the way that they tell you, you're like, oh, we should do that. Okay.
That is God.
Exactly. It's part of your purpose.
When I pray,
I
pray for discernment, I pray for vision, and I pray for patience. And I think that I've always been this way. Ever since I was a little girl, like I could see something, I'm like, yeah, I don't see that. It's like, when you see a blue dress and everybody's saying the blue is blue and yellow?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's blue.
Yeah. You're like, no, for sure.
For sure. And I think that it's also my father. I think he taught me very early that no one knows what's going on. He is like, wisdom. You have to choose your fate.
Yeah.
And you don't let no one choose your fate for you. And I think I always remember that. And I also I just had a strong intuition about things, especially when it came to product, good product, bad product, or story. Like what story is believable? What's like, that's cute, but it's not going to last 5 years. Which brings me to like what I do now, which makes it so hard because I see it so clearly, but it can be so noisy where it's just like, you got to do the thing on TikTok. You got to go viral. And I'm like, where's the space for the forever brands where I want it to be a little slower. And I want to lean in where it makes sense, but I also not trying to be gimmicky. I don't want to like have this pop off and be just, oh, that brand was cool.
Right.
Right? Like how do I create real products and have the consistency and kind of like when you go to it takes 9 months to like everything takes time. Like how do we expect something to just pop off like that? But to tempt to in your original question about like what I learned. Yeah. It's so funny. She was very much like, yeah, like I believe you. And like, and I think that even at all my jobs, I was very much like social media too. I was like on the ground and like listening and like, behind the scenes of Fashion Week and all those things. I think I had a pulse on things as well that they trusted. But so that was at Temp2. At L'Oreal, I learned that it's really a big system. And it can be a very powerful system if the cards play correctly. So I remember how important data was, how willing to invest they were too, like, any Bitmojis and like, innovation. And if they said that this was a thing, it was the thing. Everyone was moving towards the thing. It took a while. It was too slow for me personally. Okay, yeah. I think that
once it gets to a certain size, it's not nimble enough.
I got giddy. Yeah. I'm like, I want to try this. And like, no, we got to send it to Paris first. They have to approve it. Paris doesn't agree that this is the way to do it. And it just became a little bit more bureaucratic than I appreciated. But I also understand why.
In a product perspective or social perspective?
Product, social. Everything. Okay. It was just too slow for me. Because again, I'm like with Michael and Samantha and we're like they're going to freaking Philadelphia to shoot this campaign and coming back here. And then like I touched everything, digital marketing, the website, Nikki, makeup artists, lives, Instagram, everything. I touched it. It was so fun for me. So then to go to this, I was like, I only get to do social. I only get to do the plan. I can't even go to Paris. Like, it was so sad. So, but I also understood it because of.
Do you speak French too?
A little bit.
Okay.
I speak conversationally. Senegal, yes. Yeah. I'll make my way around, but I cannot. Don't get me locked up somewhere. So yeah, I really did appreciate that. I liked the way that I was able to have impact. I remember I'm always very vocal. So I remember sitting on the team. I'm like, we need more people. We need more Black and brown people on this list. There's 150 influencers here. 5 of them are Black. We are in trouble.
And this was like what, 2017, 2017?
2017, 2016.
Yeah.
Early.
She was ahead of the curve, y'all.
I mean, early. So it was me and my colleague, Nikita Wilson, who I loved to death because she was just my partner in crime whenever I was like crying out of frustration. I'm like, we need to hire this girl. We need to hire, Sierra Gante at the time. Look at this new, beautiful, Guinean, stunning, beautiful person. So like dynamic. And I'm like, we need to bring these creators to the forefront. And they were like, okay. So I was like fighting them. And then, some battles I won, some I didn't win. And then suddenly they were like, are you sure you're not the problem? I'm like, no, I'm not the problem.
No, it's not me.
I'm here to be the solution.
Yeah.
So it's like a 360 to now be here, to create the brands and to do the thing.
Yeah.
So I learned that at L'Oreal. At Glossier, I learned like, why not?
Oh, audacity.
It's just like, yes, everyone here is smart. But it took one person to be like, we're going this way. Like, yeah, we're going this way.
Excitement.
And it's excitement, what it meant to have the right team, what it meant to have people that really believed in the vision. Like, they drank the Colé. Like, everyone was drinking the pink Colé, okay? Yeah.
I've been to Glossier HQ. And it was probably not the same place that you were at when you were there. But it's very, like...
The Colé is on the wall.
Yeah.
It's in the music.
Yeah.
It's in the matcha that's served.
I used to work for Salesforce.com, and it reminded me, it's a similar energy. It's like when you walk in, it's very like, why wouldn't you want to be here? This is the best.
This is the best.
This is the best.
This is the mothership.
This is the mothership.
Especially coming from L'Oreal, where that was kind of the breaking of that model of the big box. You know, it was kind of on .com, no big box, no Amazon, no Sephora. We're going to do our own thing. We're talking directly to the consumer. Yeah. She wants this. So I think number one, I think it was the hardest job I've ever had because I never did product development in my life.
And Emily Weiss called you personally.
Yeah, she reached out to me
via email,
via email, which was still wild to this day.
It's incredible.
It is incredible, but also I'm just such a New Yorker. I'm like, girl, what you want?
Yeah, no, that's very New York.
Why y'all not?
Like, why? What do you need?
This is a diversity play. What's going on here?
What's going on?
So, but me, I'll lean into any opportunity because I really do believe. Like,
I found you in the forums that you were working on.
Yes, I was chit chatting on the forums because I love internet. I love talking to people. I love like social media. I've been doing social media marketing at all of those stints before I got there. So, it was definitely a pivot. But I had like a top shelfie. Remember the shelfie that they'll find?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Through the Instagram. So I did the top shelfie, and I think I did the L'Oreal top shelf. And I think she was like, wait a minute, this could be interesting. And I'm like, again, I like geek over product because I could do we could talk about product all day, right?
Okay.
So I'm that girl in terms of like what to buy and what not to buy. And I think I was like micro-influencing a little bit in my community. People just asking.
Were you saying things like, ooh, you know what would be great if we did this with this product? Were you like, okay. Because I was like.
And I was thinking crazy things. I was thinking like, what happens if you take Frédéric Malle, Carnal Flower, and turn it into a mist, and then you can put it in your pillow. But
Are
then
these
also. No, just the scent and how it just sends me. Like the fragrance, the way you like spray your fragrance. And like before, you're so stressed out before you go to bed. What if you were able to spray it into your room or create like an incense that didn't burn this way? Like I was just thinking about different formats and like things like that. And I'm sure people are like, you're crazy. Or also like, that's genius.
Yeah.
And the Into the Gloss girls were like, they'll try anything.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, really? Cooking grease on the foot for elbows? Like, let's try it.
Okay. It
Into the Gloss was that space, right?
Yeah.
So I found my fellow
people,
beauty weirdos that were like willing to try it. Like you were talking about earlier, like taking breast milk and putting it on your eyes and like your face. I'm like, I'll try it once.
Yeah. I'm like, hold on, let me send you the recipe. Yeah. I've heard this from a friend of mine.
Yes. And then I think so I was so embedded and so impressed, honestly, about what they were doing, especially coming from such a small, like slow movie. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening over there? Yeah. So I think before that, even 2014, I had been like friendly with their team. The PD team knew me.
Yeah.
And when they were starting Glossier, I was helping with the skin tint.
Okay.
In terms of like shade. So I was like the benchmark for the rich shade.
Oh, that's why that thing is so good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We thank you.
So the rich shade.
Yes.
Kelly Wilbert, and shout out to Kelly and give her flowers. Yeah. She was doing PD there at the time. That girl would find me anywhere. I would be out and about. I was outside. Okay, 2014. I was outside, honey. I would be at a Brooklyn party, and she would.
It was a New York summer.
Yes, she would Uber over any sample wherever I was. in Brooklyn.
Way.
She's like, I need you to try this weekend. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm giving her specific. I'm like, there's a little bit of yellow that's missing, a little ashy. Knock this down. I didn't know anything about PD.
Yeah.
I'm like, knock this down a little bit, do this. And I would be thinking about Tem 2 though, because don't forget Tem 2, you had your pod and you would mix in colors. Yeah. And then it would spray out. So I knew that blue was important for us. I knew that, not too much yellow, and there's but so many primary colors you can work with. So I think there must be a little bit too much white in here. Yeah. So knock this down.
You're reminding me actually, because you came to my masterclass.
Yes, I did.
And I invited you as a guest. And I was like, it reminds me of when we were talking about undertones.
Yes.
Because I kind of wanted, and actually looking back now, that was actually the perfect thing for you. Do you feel like it was helpful?
Oh, yes.
Okay, because I feel like I was making it for literally, like I'm so.
One-on-one.
You know what I mean?
There needs to be more education on it, though.
Thank you.
I think that you were ahead of that. Yeah. And I think that, again, Nikki, laid some groundwork, too, in terms of, like, my understanding of olive.
Absolutely.
And people kept saying that dark skin couldn't go olive and yellow, which is so untrue. Especially East African. Or too yellow,
Or
so I
too
think,
yellow. That's
yellow.
That's actually a serious problem right now. Is that because everybody on the internet was saying it's not yellow enough, it's not yellow enough.
And then
everyone was like, "Oh, you want yellow?"
And
I'm like,
and it's just not the right people on the PD teams. It's the same contract manufacturers based in Italy that have no brown people. They literally go on the street like, hey, we have a project. Can I pay you a couple bucks to come to the studio? That's literally what happens. Yeah. And you have now, I think it's become so advanced and so important that, some brands, I think like even Fenty, they invest until their team lives on site. They have team members in Italy for a period of time to make sure the colors are correct because there's no diversity there.
Interesting. And you formulate in Italy though, right?
I do.
Okay, so what do you do?
I fly out.
How do you, you go personally? Wow.
I was flying out 5 months pregnant, postpartum from Senegal. Flew out to Italy from Senegal, and now our head of PD, she either flies out. Luckily, she has great relationships with them anyway, and they listen to her. They speak the same language, but like it's her going out.
Wow,
which is a big investment for a small company.
For sure,
very small company. Yes, we have funding, but it's not like L'Oreal. You know what I mean? It's not like we're like backed on $82 million.
Because you mentioned, I was listening to you talk about how like you were coming in around the time of this $80 million investment, and then I was looking at your numbers and what the investment is, and you're like pulling things together, and your first investment was like 1.6.
Baby,
were you like crying? Were you like, why don't people give me more money? Well, like, how were you feeling?
It's such
because we're supposed to lead with this gratitude, but it's like, cut it out.
So complicated.
Okay.
Because absolutely. And I think that as we do, we always are so resourceful, so creative. Like we will make do. But when is make do enough? And it's very chicken and egg. They're like, oh, you've got to show us a path to productivity or profitability in X amount of days, or you need to basically go viral, which are two things that, one, you can handle more than the other, but you have permission to get it right. You have enough cash to get it right on the first try.
It's like just enough, no room for error.
Zero margin for error.
Okay.
That means, let me run through what that means. That means... You're right. You're hiring the right people on the first try. That means every single shipment went through every single batch order correctly, shipped on time, going via ocean versus via flight. That means your sales as projected were exactly spot on, and you have zero data to actually pattern recognize that, okay, month over month, this is what we're doing. We're 3 years old. We are 1 year old at Sephora. So we're just trying to understand what baseline is.
Right.
So if you're raising tranches of $1 and $2 million, that's someone's like light bill. So when you're up against the bohemians of the Sephora, because now I'm in the World Wide West, right? There are 5 Black owned, if not 6, I would say 5 Black owned makeup brands at Sephora. Myself, Danessa Myricks, LYS, Pat McGrath, and Fenty. That's the group in myself. You now have Colfie as well, but that's more brown and more inclusive. But like, this is what I'm up against. And then when you go into the clean beauty spectrum, you know, these beautiful brands, and everyone's doing a great job, don't get me wrong. These beautiful brands that are having like, you know, tennis matchups and like, you know, uniforms with their branding on it.
Yeah.
I'm sending the girls to the shop to get their hair done and post the experience.
First of all, by the way, genius.
Thank you.
I definitely messaged you about that. Very creative.
You gotta get creative.
I mean, sending the girls to go get their hair braided.
Yes. We're gonna do things like that on a quarterly basis because we have to get creative and like nimble and like use what is in my pocketbook to be able to stand a test of time. And I think that it's very hard, and it continues to be hard because, I mean, we're seeing this happen all the time. Like, we're shuttering. We're shuttering, and even if you're doing good, right? We're going into full chain, thank God, Sephora next week.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much. Yes. But that means double.
And by the time this airs, it's already in Sephora.
It's already
go to Sephora.
Awesome. Go to Sephora, please. Even
go to Sephora.
Ask, swatch, try, buy. Just go and check it out. Clean up.
So you were Sephora online for a year?
So no, we started.
There were some stores in Sephora. Tell me how.
We started online and also 270 doors.
Okay.
And then now we're in 590 doors.
Okay, how many doors are there in America?
About 600.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
So we should be like
everywhere.
Everywhere.
You can buy Colé everywhere.
So it should be easier to find because it's been like, oh my God, I went to the store, I couldn't find you.
Okay.
And then Canada as well.
Okay.
Which is really exciting.
Very.
But it's scary.
Yeah.
Because we're having to make sacrifices and we're just having to deplete our resources but extend our footprint. And reach well beyond your means. Even if that comes even down to like hiring the most ideal person. I'm a solo founder.
Yeah.
So that means that I don't even have the capacity to be on TikTok and give you the content that I really want to.
Right.
Because I'm actually behind the scenes as well on the PD calls, on the calls with Meta, understanding CAC, ROAS, investment, finances, taxes, insurance.
What's CAC and ROAS?
Right. Cost of acquisition,
yes.
Return on investment, and all these metrics that I am personally responsible for, knowing the business through and through, and then having to go out there in the front and then take care of a team and manage a team. So
that's intense.
It's beyond intense.
Yeah.
It's beyond intense.
Did you know, because I know you took a break when you left Glossier, you like went on this trip.
Yes, I did.
You went to Thailand.
Yes, I did.
How was that?
Whew, I still get goosebumps because I'm like, wow, God knew that I needed this. I don't know why, but my soul always wants to be around water. Like I just need to be in water. And I think that I never had a time to just be 100% on my own. I solo tripped before, but I think that going so far where you don't speak the language and your voice is just louder.
Yep.
You know, and I think that you're choosing your path every day. Like, am I going to go to the beach? Am I going to do this? And I just sat down. I'm like, girl, what do you want? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And I started writing it all down. I get goosebumps because when I read it, I'm living it, which is so scary to say out loud because you want to be precious about it. But it's just like, that's powerful, whatever you put out there in terms of being sure in your voice and being like, this is what I want. Everything else kind of shaves off, and it feels lonely and sad sometimes because you're solo, but then you're like, no, I'm walking this path and here it is, right? So that trip, I was there for a week only.
Okay.
But I was there, girl, listening to Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
Why was I listening to Nipsey Hussle?
Yeah.
His new album just launched.
Yeah.
And I was just like, go get it.
Was that your aha like moment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was like, when I come back, I'm going to do this? Or what? How did you feel?
I stopped being afraid of wanting it.
Okay.
I wanted it so bad. I'm like, who am I? Like, Just devil kept talking. I'm like, but let's see what, I mean, what's the worst case? Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, you go work in an Estee Lauder.
Yeah.
Right? The worst case scenario, you go find another job at L'Oreal. They'll take you back.
Yeah.
Or consult or whatever have you. I'm like, okay, but like, I know that this product needs to exist. So like, what happens? And don't get me wrong, I got picked up a couple jobs and like, you know, paying the bill in that year. But I just kept thinking like, what happens if I try?
Yeah. You're just like, that audacity.
It's the audacity, and it just I'm telling you right now, if it's yours, it's so clear that you're looking in the room. It's like being in a room with a ghost and like no one sees the ghost. Yeah. I'm like, she's right there. Y'all don't see her. Yeah. And I was just like, I remember this one time I was like, I went to the hotel after my day in Thailand on the beach, and I went to the market, and I came home, and my hair was like, I have 4C hair. I did not bring a wig. I was just like, whatever. I'm by myself. Nobody know me out here. And I wanted to blow dry my hair, and I realized that the blow dry didn't work for me. Okay? I'm like, wow. I had such a beautiful day. And I come home, and any other person could have a good experience and just blow dry their hair, tie it up in a little turban, have some room service, and enjoy it. But I have to now go to bed with a matted hair because the tools, no one thought about me in this design. Mm-hmm. And if I were to live in a world where I was actually thought about in design, that, wow, what a beautiful experience that could have been. It could have been a beautiful top off to a beautiful day. Yeah. But instead, I got to get creative. Mm-hmm. I got to go and try to figure out and braid my hair and spend an extra 35, 45 minutes all tired and burnt out because this tool wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, what happens? And I recorded this. Maybe one day I'll post it. Mm-hmm. But I'm here and I'm crying. And I'm like, I hear you, God. I hear you. I'm going to go back and I'm going to try. And then when I went back and I tried it felt easy, which is very scary. I'm like, okay, I got back just in time. I kid you not. I got back from Thailand on Thursday. Cosmoprof was the next Friday in Las Vegas. Do I have money? No. Did I have a ticket? No. And I asked someone, maybe Lauren Napier, I was like, hey, are you going to Cosmoprof? Oh, Mava from Bread, who lived in Australia, and she also was creating a brand. I'm like, let me see if she's going to be a Cosmoprof. She's like, hi. I'm like, hi, you want to share a room? Because I can't afford my room. Mm-hmm. And you want to go to Cosmoprof? She's like, actually, I'm going to Cosmoprof. You can come stay with me. And I booked my ticket on a credit card. And I had like last minute, and I'm just there with my do-do-do-do-do. I'm creating a brand. I had my brief together and everything. And I went out there. And
did you make the brief in that week, or was it
in that
already?
Week?
Whoa.
I created my brief. I'm like, we need these. I'm going. Yes, I'm presenting. I'm ready. I knew what was necessary because, again, coming from a Glossier, right. I knew what they were going out there with. Yeah. And I'm like, I need this texture. I need this price point. I need this and this and that. And it needs to be launched in a year. Who's going to do it?
And they were like...
Some girls are like, you need to get yourself out of this booth because I got... Fenty's my next client and you don't even got no money. Who are you again?
Who are you?
And then some people took they're like, oh, okay, so you seem real sure. So let's see.
That confident voice.
And then other people scared me because they were like, oh, you remind me of when this other brand started and now they're a multi-million-dollar brand. Like I remember when Too Faced just started. I remember what other examples that I heard that scared me like crazy. I think at the time Sharon and Yoma was just about to like launch, and maybe even Glossier. I'm like, oh, I remember when Emily came out here looking for the blah blah blah. I'm like, wow, you're comparing me to Emily. I'm not gonna bust your bubble, but okay, she sees something in me, and that scared me. Yeah, that did scare me.
But Emily probably saw something of you in her too when she reached out.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she doesn't admit that. She's very coy, but
I'm gonna admit it for her.
No, actually, you know what she did? When I had an interview, she was very much like, if I remember correctly, she said, you know, there's something about how you listen to community and your affinity for product that's something you can't buy. Mm. And everything else we can teach you. Because I'm telling her, I'm like, I don't know why you hired me for the job. I don't know how to do this. Mm-hmm. She's like, we'll teach you. I need you to bring your passion. Mm-hmm. I need you to bring your point of view. And I need you to stand in it. I'm like, oh, okay. I can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, it muddled over the time because I'm not working with Emily.
Right.
I'm working with the girls. Right. You know, the girls that come from the this and this and that and the bureaucracy, which was hard to navigate because I'm just like, let me just do my work.
I also have a question for you because there was like a huge Glossier controversy.
Yeah.
And like I want to ask this in a way that's not messy because I'm not a messy person.
No, it's
but
not
like,
messy.
How did you know what I mean?
I
like,
know
how
exactly
did you
where you're
navigate? Yeah, how did you navigate that? Because there was a whole thing with the diversity and I mean, you were only there for 14 months and it sounded like it was a dream job, even though it was hard. So I know that it had to be at its height when you were there.
Everything was on 100.
Yeah.
everything was on 100. This was like the time where we were launching like Play and trying to launch like the new Facebook.
Yeah.
So everyone was like running a mile a minute. So my experience, it was hard. It was hard because I think the industry is not trained to accept a woman of my whatever, whether that's visually, ethnicity, background, etc., to accept the woman short of. And I think sometimes in habit, people see an aircraft and they just like, we got to stop it in mid-flight. You need to pipe down. Like, you need to like, you know.
Like actively.
Enough. You know, enough.
Okay.
Like, you know, when I speak, you don't
Publicly.
speak. Yeah. Okay. Or like when I'm in the boardroom, like there's a chain of order. And never, and everyone that I've worked with, and I can attest to my character, I would never overstep or try to overshine or anything. I am just like, oh, we're here together at the table, let's all put in. But then it becomes like, oh, you don't say that, she says that. Or no, she's close to Emily, you can't do that. So it's like that bureaucracy kind of got it like a little bit more not about the work.
Okay.
I'm like, there's so much work to be done. Like, why are we doing this? So I think that it could, and the girls that work with me and that stood up for me and advocated for me, I still work with them.
Good.
And, you know, we take care of each other. But it was hard.
Yeah.
To not say too much, but to say it.
Yeah, no,
it's hard.
I mean, I'm proud of you because it changed also the expectation of culture at other companies. Because when things are brought to light publicly, then there's accountability, not only for that company, but for everyone. The expectation is now, okay, no, respect is not just requested, it is expected.
It is expected.
You know what I mean?
It is expected.
So.
And just like, but there are so many kind, smart people that changed my life because I also realized what happened. Like, I've been in the room where someone's fighting to get that thing across the deadline, where someone is saying the extra mile, where someone is like, I see your vision, I'm going to take it, I'm going to do this for you, and have the loyalty where you're not in the room. Because again, Emily or the leader of the pack is not always in the room, and you want to be able to step away and do this and trust that people behind you are doing what they need to do. And I was that person. I was in the room and I was getting it done. And even if it's a birthday, I'm in Miami, I'm still on the Zoom call. You know, pushing that thing to get there. And it's so rewarding as well to see, you know, your ideas come to fruition like Future do. Like I pitched that so hard. I'm like, no, we need a face oil and a bottle that's going to do this and this and that. And then to see it come to fruition is also like being an entrepreneur within the space as well. Like, you don't have to do your own brand sometimes. Sometimes you're an entrepreneur in that actual space.
Absolutely. We were talking about this earlier, the entrepreneur.
Like entrepreneur.
It's like you're working in a company and you're driving change and driving innovation.
Totally.
It is incredibly important. I'm sure you have a few in your company right now
that
get you like to get everything
get you
moving.
together. Yes, honey.
You know?
I'm always so grateful for team. But team can also make and break you if you don't have the right team members.
So true.
And I think I have a newfound respect for leaders and how hard it is. So I think that, you know, especially if you're friendly with someone before you join their company, and they rightfully create boundaries because, you know, you don't want to express favoritism. You want to stay the course and be the leader of the ship. That can be like, oh, girl, hello, hi. And you're like, oh, no, I understand why you did that and I respect it. So I think that I have a new empathy for the founders that I've worked with and dating back to Temp 2, working with Rebecca Minkoff very, very early on. I'm like, I just spent time with her like over the weekend. I just told her, I'm like, I get it. It took me 10 years, but now I get it as a leader. I get why you did that. And now I'm like, I respect it too.
What's the most powerful thing you think you can tell other people that want to be leaders? Or do you even think it's teachable? Is it just you're just naturally a leader?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Leadership is not teachable. Okay. Sorry. I think there's an intrinsic part of you that always wanted to, or that you trust yourself enough to be like, guys, we're jumping on this ship. And there's some crazy people like,
this way.
Yes. I've always been that way. I've always been like the leader of the babysitters club in my like Sundays. We're gonna be reading this book. I'm like, who told me to? My dad's like, why you always got something going on? And then it kind of like again, that's a good and bad thing. Sometimes it's like a good, because you're like, especially founders, they love that. Like they love that you're able to take something and run with it. And then there's other people that are like, that's not how this shit works. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll sit down. And I can play nice. Trust me. I'm not, not going to be like, oh, you didn't do it my way. Never that way. So the other thing in terms of leadership, you'd be surprised how leadership is not like yelling rah rah. It's being able to kind of collect enough data to make an informed decision. So that means a lot of listening. You got to put the ego away. If anything, I'm like therapist and this and that. It's not as glamorous as you think. Like, oh, I'm coming to rah rah. It's like, no, I'm coming to absorb it all and then reflect it and take all the energy that you gave me and steer the ship this way. And for me, that looks like, listening to my employees. Sometimes I'm like, listen, we're moving too quickly. The energy's feeling real low. We're all working remotely. I'm like, okay, I hear you. So now I got to take that energy. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Is this aligned with where I want to go as well? Because you can get as much input as possible, and they actually don't know what they want sometimes. So take that and be like, you know what? I need to find space for my team to meet on a monthly basis, and then I go and I fight to find spaces. So like, I'm kind of like the hinge. I'm the conduit, and it's a lot of pressure because it's like this all the time from every direction. But it's not like me in the front, like to the moon we go. You're actually in the back and saying like, hey, ahoy! Like I see this over here. Let's steer this way.
Okay.
So you're actually in the back and letting the team, hopefully, if you have a good team, you're letting the team kind of work for you, and you're kind of pivoting almost like a sailboat or a cruise ship. Like, you're in the back. You're last all the time, honey. Like, I didn't have no mat leave. There's 2 girls that on my team that had mat leave at the same time as me, and they took their 3 months and came back. Wow. But for me, I got 2 weeks, and, 2 babies, 2 weeks.
2 babies and a business.
2 babies under 3 in a business.
Under 3.
You're physically healing under 3. Yeah, 3 under 3.
3 under 3.
And you're physically healing. Your body chemistry is not even properly syncing, but you're still needing to put forth. And like, that's hard. It's very, very hard. So you have your investors, you have your customers, you have your team. Everybody's just waiting for you to give the next, like, okay, so what do we do here?
Okay, one last question.
Yes.
Okay, so it's called this show is called It Takes a Village. So I want you to tell me anybody who specifically has influenced you.
Oh my God.
And been part of your village, an instrumental part of your village.
That's so crazy because there's so many chapters that happens when you're a founder.
I know.
And it all condenses and it just makes you crazy. Like, I'll just give you an example right now. I flew here. Okay. My baby is 5 months. I knew I couldn't leave her home because my body couldn't produce enough milk to pump enough milk to leave her home. So I brought her with me. I'm like, okay, now I'm bringing her with me. Like, who's going to take care of this baby while I do my work? And my best friend got on a train in a Uber to my hotel, despite everything that's going on in her life, to come and take care of my baby. And she's, taking a little stroll with her right now so I can be here. I think that... So beautiful. My nanny, to be able to physically walk out. My husband is like, God bless him, because I'm always like, I don't know if I could do it. It's hard. I don't have the permission to break down because I'm, again, the leader, and you're supposed to be the strong hinge. If the hinge is loose, they're like everything breaks apart. So I think, continue to have faith and reminder of faith. I think my father still, he's always like that kind of crazy, like, why not? What do you mean? Yeah. Of course you can make $1 billion. I see this for you, So the love that he bestows on me really is just like, it's surprisingly nurturing to hear the like, keep going. Because no one tells you that. Like, the team doesn't say keep going. The team's like, can I get a raise?
Like, is my check coming on?
Yes. Yeah. Who else in my village? I think the fundraising process is one that is so hard. So hard. And I think like Mesa, I will forever give her flowers. She's the founder of Eat Candy. And again, I never knew anything about equity, fundraising, how to do a pitch deck, anything like that. And I think that I'm such a giver that I never had someone give me so much. And I always be like, I'm so sorry, but could you just help me with this? She's like, yep, let's go. And I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, stop saying sorry. I'm in your life at this period because I'm supposed to. Like, this is my service right now to you. I don't know how God will pay me back, but like, this is what you need to ask for. This is what you need to be careful from. And then she just helped me so much. And I like joke about I'm gonna name my first daughter after you. And I named her after my mom. But she was just such a pivotal person in my life. Yeah, and my friends like Elisa, I think right now the biggest people in my life are just helping me balance motherhood and being a leader, and being a wife. Yeah, that's what comes to mind right now.
Thank you.
Yes,
and there are other people she has not mentioned, but they are in there.
Of course, we love you.
They're in there.
Course,
we love you too.
Of course.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation.
Such a great conversation. I'm so happy we spoke. Yeah.
So refreshing. I love the questions.
Thank you.
Flowers to you all the time, girl. You're doing it.
Thank you.
Yes. And y'all don't see this face V in person. Honey, B to the T's.
Thank you.
Oh my God. I love it.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.